You will learn today why Stoicism has a very dark and cruel side. Stoicism is an old philosophy that goes back more than 2,300 years, but the last few years it has become very popular again. Books about an old philosophy of happiness are flying off the shelves at local shops, and it's going crazy on YouTube and other social media sites. You can't get very far on Instagram before you run into good old Marcus Aurelius or one of his less quotable friends telling you to get your life together, control your passions, control yourself, and just be happy. That being said, there is a problem with these Stoicism books, self-help Instagram pages, and YouTube channels. Some of them don't give us a full idea of what Stoicism is. YouTube videos or social media posts can't help us understand something like Stoicism. And most of the time, the people who post this aren't pros to begin with. Their limited understanding can only give us one side of a philosophy that is very complicated, very varied, and can look very different based on the philosopher. And there are many places where Stoicism goes against what we think is right and wrong. There are some truly frightening aspects of Stoic teaching that we should not ignore. What I'm about to say is probably not going to be in a self-help book or a blog about daily life. I hope you won't find it there. It's from Seneca's 77th letter to Lucilius. Seneca writes about a person named Tullius Marcellinus in that letter, and it appears that good old Marcellinus has a disease. The disease couldn't be cured, but it lasted a long time and seems to be very bothersome. Seneca then tells us that Marcellinus started to think about committing suicide. Now, Roman culture did not look down on suicide like ours does, so it was common for friends to talk about ways to end your own life. And Marcellinus did the same thing. Suicide is an important decision, which is why Marcellinus gets his friends together to ask for their help. Everyone gives him their 2 cents. Without a doubt, some of them told Marcel to go in any direction he felt led to. They're like friends who tell you to follow your heart. It looks like it's not very helpful. It's possible that other friends tried to talk him out of it by telling him how important he was and how he shouldn't leave the world. Seneca only says that some of his friends told him nice things. Seneca then tells us that a Stoic friend spoke up. Seneca also says that this Stoic friend gives the best advice. This is what that Stoic said. As if you were making a big choice, my dear Marcellinus, he told her, don't let this bother you. Living isn't really that great. All of your animals and slaves do it. But dying honorably, enlightened, and courageously is a great thing. Think about how long you've been doing the same thing they do. Having sex, eating, and sleeping. The circle that never ends. Not only the enlightened, brave, or sad, but even the squeamish can feel the desire for death. For what it's worth, I think the Stoic friend means that it's normal for sick people like Marcellinus to want to kill themselves. Anyway, Marcellinus is sure about everything. Without a doubt, he agrees with this line of reasoning. He makes up his mind that he is going to kill himself. He needs help, though, because he's sick and weak. He then turns to his slaves, but they tell him, "No, man, we don't want to kill you. It would not look good." It looks like even his slaves liked him a little. So, the Stoic friend works with the slaves and gets them to agree that they should kill their master. He says that telling their boss not to kill himself is worse than killing him himself. The slaves said, "Okay, we'll kill him if you say so." They basically set up a steam tent in the bedroom with a warm bath. Marcellinus, who hasn't eaten in 3 days, slowly dies in the steam bath, while the slaves keep adding warm water and I guess their own tears to the bath. It's a pretty scary sight. Seneca ends by telling Lucilius that this is an example, and that quote has real value for the future. This probably means that we should use this as an example of how to accept death, welcome it, and face it with joy. I also believe this has some good tips about how to deal with death. At first glance, though, suicide seems like a clear moral problem for us. And not just the act itself, but actually pushing someone to jump off that cliff. Someone who is afraid to take his own life, to say, "Yep, just do it." That, and we're not talking about a disease that will kill you. Although Marcellinus appeared to be suffering greatly, I suppose he was just sick and could have gotten better. He might have lived. The Stoic thinker says it's not worth it. That's what I think is the main problem here. It's the loss of value of life. The idea that being alive is not important. The Stoic, according to another version, basically reduces life to eating, sleeping, and reproducing, which I find to be quite sneaky. By the way, many scientists and pop producers do the same thing today. Like Jesus said, "Isn't life more than food, and the body more than clothes?" Life isn't just about reproducing and living, right? The Stoic thinks that humans are like animals in that we all eat, sleep, and have babies. Christ, though, asks, aren't we worth more than birds? Isn't there something deeply important and useful in the mystery of consciousness and intelligent thought, which, in the great mystery of being, both make us and make us? If scientists can't explain how the brain creates amazing experiences, we don't know how to solve the hard problem of consciousness. Since we can't explain that, maybe we shouldn't lower the value of people right now. Stoicism doesn't hold back, though. One of the main ideas of Stoicism that isn't talked about much on social media is that we should value things less. The Stoics saw the world as a single great community in which all men are brothers, ruled by a supreme providence, which could be spoken of under a variety of names or descriptions, including the divine reason, creative reason, nature, the spirit or purpose of the universe, destiny, a personal God, and even the gods. This is how Robin Campbell summarizes Stoicism in the introduction to the Penguin edition of Seneca's Letters. People have a responsibility to live in line with God's will, and this entails, first, putting his life into line with the rules of nature, and second, giving up his self entirely and accepting whatever fate may throw at him without complaint. He can only find true, unwavering peace and happiness by living in this way and not putting too much value on things that can be taken away at any moment. In other words, Stoicism means taking away the value from everything in our lives, including life itself. It makes perfect sense. You must lower the value of things if you want to cut yourself off from fear, sadness, and loss. When you lose a penny, you aren't bothered by it because it is worth less, but you are bothered by the loss of a brand new iPhone because it is worth much more. Because a cockroach is not an important animal, you are not bothered by its death. The death of your parents has bothered you. You must make everything a penny if you don't want to be bothered by anything. To make loss, fear, and death less painful, you must turn everything into a cockroach. You must take away the value of things. I personally think that things like money, things, a job, and even joys and creature comforts should have a small value. But I'm not ready to put the same low value on human life. I also don't want to say, like the Stoics, that things like death and suffering are good or right just because they are unavoidable. In the famous fourth book of his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius says that everything that happens is for the best. Take a moment to think of all the worst sins and horrors that have been done to people. They think those things are good. It's right, because the divine Logos told them to be right, and you should align your will with the divine Logos. Because of this, you should love the things that happen to you. In Book 7 of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, he says, Love only that which happens to thee, and is spun with the thread of thy destiny. What would be better for this? I'm not sure. I think I can think of a few things that would be better, but regardless, I have to say that I kind of respect this way of life. Amor fati means love your fate, or love what has happened to you. Like Nietzsche says, the best times are when things are hard. Things that don't kill you make you better. And I like the Stoic logic that says that even though things seem evil, if God or the divine Logos, the ends, reality orders it, it must be good, even if you don't quite understand that. It's also a strong contrast to common ways of talking about things like the problem of evil. The Stoics were one group of people who didn't have a problem with evil. That makes sense to me. I don't agree with Stoicism, though, when it says that everything that happens is good. There is a Leibnizian deterministic God who commands evil so that good may come. I would rather think that evil is necessary for good to happen than that everything that happens is good in and of itself. A part of Stoicism is like the Stockholm Syndrome of philosophy. It tells us to love the person who hurts us, to think that person is good, and to say that we are not so important after all. I cannot believe how evil this is. I believe that Stoicism is one of the cruelest ideas that has ever been put forward, and that no amount of peace or apathy is worth paying for this. There are evil things like these built into Stoicism. They are crucial to Stoicism insofar as Stoicism's philosophy is upheld. However, it is a problem that so many people identify as Stoic and quote without understanding Stoicism's dark side. So many people today want to keep Stoic ethics, but get rid of Stoic philosophy. Now, I really think that we should praise and accept good ideas while shaming and getting rid of bad ones. That's why you will often hear me praising Seneca and the others, and I will keep learning from them. But I don't think we should ever speak in such flowery terms about Stoicism as a whole. Also, writers and self-help experts shouldn't be able to use Stoicism for profit without being questioned. There needs to be nuance, and if you want to listen to me, try to get that nuance right before you hit the subscribe button. As I already said, I want to use Seneca's ideas about how to accept death to explain the current outbreak and the political situation in the world today. But it's a touchy subject, so I want to make sure I say exactly what I mean and speak as clearly as I can. I'm always grateful that people like my videos. Please let me know in the comments what you really think about this subject. Your thoughts and comments help me make better videos and think more deeply. Hit the like button if you thought the video was significant. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.